All right, so we're going to talk about energy and gas taxes and what knows what. Art Laffer's with us, former Reagan economist. Steve Moore, host of More Money on WABC Radio, and Dan Brouillette, former U.S. Energy Secretary. Greetings to all three of you. Dan Brouillette, let's see. We've had a biggest disruption, one of the biggest disruptions in supplies ever, according to Fox Business. But the United States, I think if I get these numbers right, I'm not sure I will, but if I get these numbers right, we're supposed to release from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, let's see, 172 million. 172 million barrels should be released from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, but so far we've only released 17.5 million. Why is it coming up so short?
Well, Larry, it's a matter of physics. The pipes can only hold so much oil at one time. So I think the extreme upper limit of the output that can come out of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve today is somewhere around 4 million barrels per day. That's it. So we have to expand its capacity if we want more into the marketplace. But, Larry, one of the things that we can do today to help reduce fuel prices across the country is increase our refining capacity, and there's a number of ways to do that. Obviously, permitting reform, allowing more infrastructure to be built, but we can also do some other things, Larry. You know, this gas tax idea that the president put out today, I think it's a wonderful idea, but let's combine it with perhaps some incentive for refiners. Let's take away the renewable fuel standard nationwide and allow them to produce one gasoline for one country. That will increase their output dramatically. So you get a tax cut at the pump, and you get increased supply in the marketplace at the gate.
Let's talk about the tax cut.
Sure.
Everyone loves tax cuts. I love tax cuts. I want to cut the capital gains tax. I want to cut personal income taxes. I'd like a 15% corporate rate and an individual rate. We'll get to Art Laffer and his problems in a moment. But on that point, it's Congress who has the authority over the federal gas tax, which is 18.4% for gasoline barrels and 24.4% for diesel. Okay, Steve Moore, you can take a whack at this. These are user fees that go toward the highway road system, which is usually on the verge of bankruptcy. You take that money out, you got a problem, and it's a user fee. Now, the electric vehicles don't have to pay that user fee, so maybe we want to slap a user fee on them too. But do you really want to? Do you think Congress in the next few days or weeks is going to get rid of the gasoline tax? It's not an executive decision. It's a congressional decision. And again, I'm for lower taxes, but this one, I don't know. Does this make sense?
It makes sense to get rid of it.
I'm with Dan on this one, Larry.
Yeah.
I'm with Dan on this one. I think he's exactly right on all 3 points that he made. I love the idea, by the way, of changing the refining process so that we can lower prices. And I do think that, look, I'm not calling, I don't think we're calling for any kind of permanent, but why not 30 or 60 days to reduce that gas tax, which will reduce the price at the pump and give motorists some relief, and on a temporary basis until we get the Strait of Hormuz open. And we can do that in addition to all of the other things that you're talking about, like reducing the capital gains tax. The only other point I would make to what Dan was saying was, how about some of these states, Larry? I just looked up prior to coming on the show. You know what state has the highest gasoline tax in the country? California, Illinois is up there, New Jersey. All these blue states have these high gas taxes, and then they complain about high gas prices.
No, I understand that. Do you think Congress, Steve Moore, seriously, before I get to Art, you think Congress is going to okay this?
I think there would be a lot of pressure on it. Look, people are really angry about gas prices, and this is just a very temporary. It's not going to fix the problem, but it's some temporary relief for people who are just angry at the gas pump.
Art Laffer, little birdie told me you want to come back and licking your wounds. You want to continue. You want to continue to defend the unrealized capital gains tax. Now, you could defend the unrealized federal gas tax faster. I mean, are you still going to have us tax capital and confiscate wealth? Really?
Oh, Larry, come on. Let's get on the gas taxes here. I think it would be great to get the gas taxes down. Yeah, we can get that effectively right away. I just worry about the strategic oil reserves and how long these things take. But if we can get the gas tax down right away, that would be great. If you get the gas tax down for a year from now, it might be really very counterproductive. So what are the lags? I would ask Dan, what are the lags in this process? And are they long? And can they, the refineries, for example, Dan, I would imagine it would take quite some time to get refineries back on stream in there. And we're already a net exporter of oil. So what did we do on timely, right now, getting things going? I hope this war is over soon. And when you look at some of the stuff like the spills and other things that are collateralized damage, it's really bad. Larry, I'm 100% with you on capital gains. Index it back to the beginning, and that would be terrific. That would be great.
Dan Brouillette, he'll talk about federal gasoline taxes, which is a subject about which he knows virtually nothing. He'll talk to you about the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, which is another subject. But he won't talk to you about what he said to me on Friday, on the air, live TV, that he said with Doug Holtz-Eakin, and he wants to tax the unrealized capital gains tax. Actually, I want Steve Moore to weigh in on that. Go ahead, Steve Moore.
Well, let's do it.
Well, look, Arthur Laffer is my mentor, as you are, Larry. And by the way, this is the first time you've been outvoted 3-0 on your show, maybe in history, on the gas tax. I love that.
Who said I was outvoted? I'm going to win this. I'm just explaining it to you.
I'll say this. If we could get a flat tax of 17%, Arthur, I would take a 17% unrealized capital gains tax. How's that?
That's exactly what it should be. That's all we're talking about, Steve, is that. That's the right thing to do. That is the right thing to do.
Dan Brouillette, these
but
guys
only with a complete reform.
These guys are trying to confiscate wealth. You could never figure out the valuation because an asset is only worth what somebody will bid for. Now I got two of them, Laffer and Moore. I cannot believe this. My ears are burning. I know.
Well,
I need help.
Larry.
I need water. I need something to deal with it here. I cannot absolutely believe this. So much so that I'm going to end this segment. The whole thing is so great.
Oh, my gosh, Larry.
Next time.
You're the best.
We'll cut the federal gas tax and we'll raise the unrealized capital gains tax. All right, kids. Art Laffer, thanks. G. Willikers. Steve Moore, thank you.
Larry.
Dan Brouillette, thanks
you,
very
Larry.
much.